welcome to Coach Dave Academy. This is Suellio, Almeida. We're going to see my lap here with the Porsche Cup at Phillip Island. We're going to see the entire lap, and then we're going to talk about corner by corner. All right, so going into the first corner, which is generally flat out in most cars on the Porsche Cup, it's actually far from it. We have to stay as much as we can to this curb here to open up the first corner. We're going to brake around 40% and do a very, very, very progressive trail brake as we get into the corner. And we have to be very, very patient with the steering. You don't want to overheat the fronts, because if you turn the steering too much, you actually overheat them and they really have absolutely no grip towards the exit. So really turn just enough. As soon as you feel the car is turning in, you keep that trail brake until you get pretty close to, say, halfway of the curb here. It's a very pretty long curb. And then you get back on power straight to 100% because you want to keep the car rotating. And then you allow the car to go all the way to the outside. So here, there are some things, because the line here can be very dynamic. If you go a little bit too wide, it's actually fine, because you do have time to come back a little bit. We don't want to go back all the way to the right on the pickup here. The next corner is super long, so you can actually treat it as a very aggressive double apex. So what you can do is you bring just a little bit, and then here in my case, I'm just going more or less to the center of the track and then already trail braking into this double apex. But if you end up getting back on power a little bit too early here and you go all the way to the outside, it's totally fine. You're going to gain a little bit of time here, and then you're not going to be able to open up that much for the next corner. It's kind of going to be similar. So you have those two options. You have to really adapt every time, depending on how you exit one. You decide what you're going to do and how early you're going to trail brake into this long left-hander. Then we go here, first apex. As you're trail braking, the car is going to go wide a little bit. Make sure you don't go wider than this here. Basically, the grip is all on the left side, and here on the right side, it's off camber. So as soon as you get there, you really get absolutely no grip. And well, these skid marks here kind of show what happens when you go to the right side. So make sure you have this limit here on the middle of the track if you want to have the grip. You see, I'm actually already going a little bit too wide here, because you can see how my car is tilting to the right. And because of that, I actually don't have the room to actually use this curve here. So this was a mistake. Ideally, you want to hit this one and then keep a little bit more to the left, just a little bit more. You see, I went kind of one car too much to the right, and then I wasn't able to get the curb. I ended up losing a full tenth because of that. So you want to really have the second apex here right at the end of this curve, the little blue bits, and then maybe even like touching a little bit of the white end of it. But yeah, it was a little mistake that you will eventually be doing in the race. So make sure you are having this dynamic approach to both T1 and T2. Then for this one here, I'm braking at the 150. So I'm using this white paint here as a reference. And then really, really patient. Initially, you can brake pretty much 100%. especially on the first laps when your brakes are cold. But on the next few laps, you have to judge how much the brakes are, how harder the brakes are performing. Because when they get hot, you actually have a little bit more braking force. So you might need to brake only 90 or 95% and not 100, because you might lock up the tires. So, and also I get to 100%, but then I'm already going down to more or less 80%, and then kind of keeping it there, and then finally getting to trail brake very heavily into this corner, second gear, get back on power and allow the car to go all the way to the outside using this curb. I don't really recommend using the green, because by the time we are there, it's already over and we actually get on the dirt and you lose traction and excess speed. Then for the next corner, I like to stay on third here. I don't like going to fourth gear because we're pretty much already going into the corner anyways. And I want to almost clip the dirt here to open up as much as possible for this next corner. We're going to do a very late apex on this one because we don't have a lot of grip on the exit. So very patient, and then finally get to the inside and all the way on the power. And then here you can see how the car kind of gets a little bit off camber. And if you fail to rotate the car on entry and you try to rotate it a little bit here, it's very, very easy to lose the rear and spin. So make sure you make a very, very good amount of rotation on the entry where we have a little bit more camber, a little bit more grip. Then easy flat out on this one. And then for the next corner, make sure you bring the car as much as possible to the right here, touching the white line. And then you start trail braking pretty heavily. And a good reference here is I want to actually apex by the time we are more or less by the Marshall here, Marshall post. So basically, it's pretty patient. You have to be very patient. The Formula cars here, we actually apex a little bit earlier and let the car go wider because we have the downforce to bring it back. But this is not the case. This car has absolutely no downforce. So I have to really be patient and keep the car here. And then finally, we're going to go a little bit wide, but not more than half of the track because we're already coming back and braking on a very straight line here down to second gear, making the car rotate as much as possible on this very cambered part. And then as soon as you get back on power here, actually you can see how I'm not really using all the exit because the next corner is going to be very important. So I get back on power here quite late, allowing the car to be on the middle of the track and then finally changing direction to get a good launch. It's impossible to do this flat out, so you're going to have to lift a little bit. You lift and then you back on power. The car is going to kind of want to lose the rear. A little bit of correction here. It's totally fine to use this grass. Just make sure that you practice it because if you get on the grass but you're panicking and turning to the inside, you can very quickly lose the rear. So as soon as you realize that you're going to the grass, allow the car to go there kind of with a straight wheel and then you gently come off of it. You see how much time I took to get off the grass. As soon as I realized that I was going there, you can see me straightening the wheel and then okay, back, all good. So, and then for the same thing for the last corner, we want to turn quite late and then a little bit of lift and then back on power on the compression and allowing the car to go all the way to the outside. It's a pretty complicated track for this car because it's a very, very high speed track with absolutely no downforce. So the lines are a little bit complicated, but yeah, that's it. Lots of practice, lots of good racing here. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I will see you next week.